Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Hodges, and today I want to talk a little bit about exercise. Oh my gosh, I would say it's a four-letter word, but how many letters are in exercise? E-X-E-R. Anyway, it's more than four letters. But it still can seem like a four-letter word for a lot of folks. And so, let's break it down to see exactly what you need because, I will have patients that will come into my office and they will tell me, I'm seeing them for the first time, so clearly they're trying to work on their weight. And they tell me, they're like, I work in a warehouse, or I am, I'm all over the school, I'm a nurse, whatever, but I do all this walking. It's not like I'm sedentary. So I don't know why I can't lose any weight. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between NEAT and, ironically, EAT. So, what is NEAT? NEAT is non-exercise thermogenesis. So what that is that is all the little things that you do on any given day, like getting up and walking, going to the bathroom, going downstairs to make a cup of coffee, when you get in your car and you get out of your car and you're walking into Walmart. All those little twitchy movements, anything, that is non-exercise thermogenesis. And that accounts for, you can end up burning a couple hundred calories a day.
Well, my philosophy is you go with
just in NEAT. And so that was actually one of the things that I noticed during COVID, whenever patients would come to see me and they're like, I have not changed my diet, I'm doing the same thing, but I just do not move. And they were seeing an increase in their weight. And it was because their NEAT had drastically reduced. I've said it before, whenever COVID happened, for the first 6 weeks, I was not really allowed to do any elective cases. And for about 6 weeks, and during that time, I remember doing telemedicine, and I literally would only get in maybe 600 steps a day. And my waistline showed it. And it was because my NEAT had drastically been reduced. So, NEAT is very important. You gotta be moving. You gotta get the pistons churning, or whatever pistons actually do. I think they work in the engine. Sorry if you're a car lover, don't know what a piston does. Now, how is that different than EAT, or exercise thermogenesis? And so exercise is really what we think of whenever we're going to go out and, go to the gym, burn some calories, go for a walk. And that is sustained exercise for sustained periods of time. And that is generally where you're going to see a greater calorie burn. So what's more important? Your NEAT or your EAT? And I think that's a little bit of a loaded question. And so they're both important. If you are trying to lose weight, and we're not talking about the diet portion, we're just talking about moving and getting your body moving. And this is why it's so important about knowing where your baseline is, so that you can use that as a measuring stick to know where you want to go. You can't make a plan for where you want to be if you don't know where you've already been. So with NEAT, that is why if you have like a little iWatch or Apple Watch, it will buzz like every 50 minutes, hey, you need to get up and move. Well, I think that that's a very good thing to do. So a lot of my patients, they work from home, and they will come and tell me, they're like, I used to go into the office, now I don't. I'm starting to see an increase in my weight. And I do think that that's multifactorial. I do think that there has been a negative impact on their NEAT. So instead of getting up, usually you get in your car, you drive to the office, you walk in the parking garage, you're getting up, you're talking with your coworkers, You're then, walking to and from the copier machine or going into the break room. But it might be in little short blurbs. I mean, you might only be taking 10, 15 steps, but that is, and I've talked about this before too, that is compounded interest. It is little bits, hi there. That is little bits adding up every day. Contrast that with someone that if they work from home and they're not getting up and moving. So you might not think that extra 150 calories burned in a day from meat is that important. But if you're not keeping it tight with your diet, if you have a very low metabolic rate, and you're not doing any additional exercise, that can have a profound impact on your ability to lose weight or even for your ability to maintain your weight. So, number one, NEAT is very important. So, what are some things that you can do to increase your NEAT? If you work from home, and invest in one of those standing desks. Some insurance companies will even let that be a write-off. And if you work for a really big company, talk with your HR. If they're already offering you a computer or whatever, or reimbursement, see if they'll reimburse you for a standing desk. So that's number one. Number two, I've also even seen some people will get these like little small walking pads. I actually want to get one. I have a treadmill, and it's just this big behemoth that's clunky and it looks ugly in my bedroom. I'm going to get rid of it. And they have tons of these little walking pads on Amazon, and they're like less than $200. And even though right now it's officially winter, but I believe it is 70 degrees. That is why I love the South. That is my kind of winter. I know like in another several weeks, it's going to get cold and I'm not going to want to go out and go for a walk. And so I would really like to get one of those walking pads. They're much more compact. Some people will get a walking pad and they'll get on that. And so if you are on a Zoom meeting, guess what? As long as you're not bouncing all around, maybe you can turn on your Otter AI that can record the meeting. It can take all your notes, and then you can be walking and listening and kind of just adding in as you need. So that's another idea. The other thing that I would recommend is you need to get up and just walk around. So when your iPhone goes off and it says, hey, you haven't been moving, it's been 50 minutes, you need to take 5 minutes. It's going to be good for your body, but then also good for your eyes. Whenever I was in medical school, my eyes during those 4 years, because I was constantly reading and I was at one focal length, I don't know, for 10, 12 hours a day. I remember my eye doctor telling me that I really needed to work on taking frequent breaks and allowing my eyes to have different focal lengths. So put the book down, and now you need to start looking in the distance, and you got to give your eyes a break, because you have little muscles in your iris and in your eyes, and they need a break too. We all need a break. I all need a break. So do that. So these are just some small things that you can do to increase your NEAT. There was a doctor several years ago, and he coined the phrase. He said, sitting is the new smoking. And I think I tend to agree. Although I will say, when I was a surgery resident, we always used to say, what is it? We used to say, like, don't stand when you can sit, and don't, and make sure you can sleep whenever you can. So, but that was a little different. We were up for like 36 hours and all that. So those are some things you can do to increase your NEAT. Now, let's set some little goals for exercise. Just for routine health maintenance, it is recommended that, and this is aside from NEAT, this is aside from your job in the warehouse or at the school or your coaching job on the side. This is aside from that. This is extra sustained activity, aerobic activity of a moderate intensity And I would say what I'm doing right now, this would be light to moderate. I'm not really out of breath. If I kept on, if I make 1 or 2 more videos, y'all might see sometimes my hair's a little frizzier and I'm a little bit more out of breath. That would be more moderate activity. But the recommendation is at least 150 minutes a week. That would be 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day. Okay? That is the minimum that people need to be doing. My goal for 2026 is what the Obesity Medicine Association recommends for if you're really trying to get good weight loss and long-term maintenance. It's anywhere from 300 to 400 minutes a week. So I am going to aim for, I said 350, but let me do the math, make the math easy. So if you're aiming for 300 minutes a week, so that would be 5 days, 60 minutes. So that's kind of my goal for 2026. I want to hit a minimum of 300, but my goal really is 350. That's really 5 days a week at 70 minutes. So, but I'm just trying to make math easy for folks. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, and this comes back to my last comment. Again, people will ask me, I'm really active at my job, because I'll talk to them about their diet, I'll talk to them about exercise, and as soon as I bring up exercise, they're like, well, they're like, well, I work, I walk at least 10,000 steps. Well, you might be walking 10,000 steps, but you need to know that you're not walking 10,000 steps in sustained time that is bringing your heart rate up to the rate that is in fat burning mode. You may walk all over the place, but you just might do it multiple times a day. And if that is the case, then you are working on your NEAT. You're not working on your exercise or your EAT. And I want you to work on both, because if you are struggling with your weight and you work in a place where you wear your Fitbit and you're like, I'm getting 10, 20,000 steps a day, but you are still overweight, then that means that you're not doing enough. And why are you not doing enough? It's because you are only working towards your NEAT, and that does not burn as many calories as your EAT, which is exercise-induced activity. You gotta have both. I would love to be able to tell you that there is a pill or a shot or even a surgery that is going to make all of this go away and make it easy. It's wham bam, thank you ma'am. Unfortunately, that is just not how chronic disease works. And I will say it once and I will say it again. Obesity is a disease, and this is something that you're going to have to work out for all of your life. If you go back and you look at all my videos, like I'm seeing my face right now, I have not been exercising like I need to be. And I've also been snacking more. And I have a very low metabolism. And so it is very easy for my weight to fluctuate. I also am very genetically predisposed to obesity and heart disease. I just had all my lab work done. And I eat pretty clean, but I do eat a lot of processed food. And I will not shy away from a McDonald's cheeseburger. Only 290 calories, mind you. And my cholesterol, I have elevated cholesterol. So all of these things play a role. And so it's something that you just have to be consistent with and work on it every day. So take home message, NEAT. That is the things that you do on a daily basis. Always, if you're in a parking lot, don't do what I do and drive around trying to get the closest one. That's fine, park in the back. And then that will give you a little bit of extra NEAT. And then I challenge everybody, work towards a goal of increasing your EAT. And I don't mean eating more ho-hos. What I mean is increasing your exercise thermogenesis, okay? Aim for initially a goal of 150, and then reach for the stars. Get up to 300 to 400. However, if you have not been exercising at all, even if you can aim for 10 minutes 2 times a week, You got to start somewhere. Okay? So get on out there.